The big red button.
Are we recording now?
Yeah.
Welcome to Babbling Rooks. It's the last episode of Kyle being here in the States for a little while. We also have a guest artist visiting for this particular episode. This is Brendan Carter. Say hi, Brendan.
Hey, how's it going?
Cool. For those of you that are not familiar with this series, this is us playing a bunch of board games and or video games whilst answering questions. If you want to jump around the questions that we ask two collective questions each and then two personal questions each. Brendan's just going to be involved in the collective questions and not really the personal stuff, since the personal stuff, at least that I have, is pretty specific.
Yeah.
Brendan's just going to kind of chill out for that and maybe interject if he wants to. If you want to jump around the questions, you can take a look at the description below. It'll have a list of the questions and also their time index, so you can check out questions that you're interested in. Before we get into all of that, the games that we're going to play, I decided, I guess, that we were going to play two games at the same time, and the first one is Fluxx, where this card right here has on it, I don't know if you can actually read that, but it says draw one, play one, and the rest of the cards have either goals or keepers or other rules, and the other rules can make it turn into draw three and play one, or it can turn into draw three, play three, or if you have a special kind of card down, then you can maybe draw one more. Additionally, there are goals that might say, if you have the keepers love and rockets down, then you win the game. If you have love and no other keepers, then you could also win the game. So the rules are constantly changing, and you just have to adapt to those rules. And sometimes the games take 5 minutes, and other times the game takes like an hour. So we'll see how that goes. The other game, which is a game I'm really fond of, is a game called Deep Sea Adventure. All of these tiles represent a certain value of treasure. The ones here are the least valuable, the twos are more valuable, threes are more valuable, and the fours are the most valuable. You roll these two dice, the six-sided dice that have a maximum value of 3 on each dice. Then you move down. Once you move to a square, then you can opt to pick up a treasure or not. If you opt to pick up a treasure, then that adds 1 weight to your inventory. For every inventory that you have, you lose 1 dice roll, and also you consume 1 oxygen for every weight. Everybody goes down a single time until they say that they want to go back up, and if you make it back up to the top, you get to keep the treasure that you pick up. You can also drop treasure if you land in a square that someone's already taken treasure for. The oxygen is shared amongst all players, so if somebody's at the bottom and they have a weight of 4 and they know that they're going to die, then they could opt to pick up more treasure and just screw everybody else from trying to get back up to the top if they really wanted to. And that's the way that game works. You do it in 3 rounds. After every round, then blank squares go away. If you had treasure and you die before you reach the top, then that treasure drifts to the bottom in a pile of 3, and that pile of 3 ends up being the equivalent of 1 weight, even though there's 3 tiles on there. So that's basically the way that these games work. We're just going to go through that and do that while we're answering questions. But I guess first we got to figure out who's going first on Hi There. So yeah, the decision to play 2 different games simultaneously and also answer questions ended up not being the best idea that I've had. We had a pretty rough start trying to juggle it all, creating a lot of floundering and pacing issues in our conversation. It took us about 35 minutes to get past the first collective question alone, and really for no real reason other than we were just being stupid. I almost scrapped the episode altogether, but I didn't want to lose all of the material, and it got better as we went along, so I decided to just fast forward through the rough bits and keep the latter half. There is one early moment, though, that I decided needed to stay in, because the exact same thing happened the first time that Brendan played Deep Sea Adventure at my house a while back. So I'm going to take this. You are going to take that?
Ooh. Dangerous.
No, don't flip it over!
We don't know what value that's had.
So you take it.
Yes.
And you don't look at it yet because it's not yours.
We definitely
because you
did
have
not
to, because
all see that value.
because you have to escape with that value in order to see it first,
Yep.
and then you do that. Oh, Brendan, we love you with all of our heart. We're going to skip ahead now. Enjoy the rest of the episode. What are we on now? Collective?
Yes.
What's the first video game console you ever owned, and what was your favorite game on it?
Ooh, Nintendo 64. Ooh. Favorite game?
Favorite game.
So, this is kind of a cheat answer because I never actually owned this game, but
That's fine.
Nintendo 64 was the first console that I owned, and my cousins had Cruisin' USA on their N64, and I just always remember I didn't know the cheats to get other vehicles, and I always wanted to drive the bus. I always wanted to win a race while driving the bus. That was my ultimate goal. Yeah. It's your turn in Fluxx.
Yep.
And so Cruisin' USA, just because it has so much nostalgia.
Do we have a keeper limit? Yes, we do.
Yes, I'm taking that treasure. This is the best thing ever. Can you put a more market thing in there? Deal with it. I'm going to get a 4. It will be worth it. I'm still going down. Do we keep limit? Oh, we do.
I know you really want to pick that up, Brendan, because you're a very play it safe kind of guy. So,
I'm testing out this new play it safe strategy.
testing out. You've been testing it out for the past 2 times. Like, what are you talking about?
This round.
But you played it safe the last 2 rounds too.
I mean, this go round.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Because that's so out of character.
Got him.
I'm great. You tilted me.
Tilt.
Brendan? What's your favorite video game? First video game console, and what's your favorite game on it?
The first video game console we ever had was a Sega Genesis. I didn't have great games on it. My favorite game was The Lion King.
The Lion King.
Over Sonic?
Yeah. We didn't have Sonic for some reason.
Got it.
I don't know why we didn't have Sonic.
Wait, doesn't it come with Sonic? Or I don't know how.
No,
They
it
didn't.
didn't
They
come with
didn't come with those games.
I honestly cannot tell you how we acquired the Sega Genesis, but we had a Sega Genesis, and I loved that Lion King.
Lion King.
And I would
Boom.
put in the cheats too to get to the end of the game because there was this one level I couldn't beat. And if anybody knows how to beat it, seriously, there was this game where you had to ride in a ostrich. And I died
going up.
every time, literally every time. To this day, I have not beaten it. So, Lion King, Sega Genesis.
Cool. Who's Fluxx turn?
I just
Who dropped television with the appliances?
I dropped television.
Huh. Okay.
It's your turn. I did it for a reason.
I guess so.
Because goals are futile.
So the first video game console that I ever owned was the ColecoVision.
Ooh.
And there were favorite game on it is actually fairly difficult. Because there were a couple that were really good, but I think that probably the one that makes it the most, the one that I have to choose is this game that was called Gateway to Apshai. Because if you don't know anything about do you know what the ColecoVision looks like?
Yes.
Do you know what the controller looks like with the number pad?
Yes.
So Gateway to Apshai was the only game that I knew that used all of the number pads.
Huh.
like because it was a dungeon crawler. It was kind of like a rogue dungeon crawler kind of thing, and there were all these functions. It was actually fairly I'm going up, by the way. It was actually a fairly complex game. Let me move up one. Did you move the oxygen down? Sorry. It was a fairly complex game as a dungeon crawler because you could every number could do something different. One was assign your weapon. One was okay, you're going to search. One was here's your inventory, change inventory. All these different kind of things related to these dungeons. And like the original Rogue, it didn't really have an end to it. You were just going down and just kind of kept on going down. And at the end of every level, you would get to a harder stage, but at the same time, you also had your sorry.
Good luck discarding whatever other one you want.
You also had your stats raised every level too, based on how much treasure and how much success you had going on in the level, like how much treasure you picked up or how much secrets and stuff that you picked up. And the game ended up being pretty obsessive for me because it was just a great, because even back then I loved those kind of dungeon crawler kind of games. Like it's the reason why I like FTL. It's the reason why I kind of like Invisible Ink sort of, or Final Fantasy Tactics in some ways. It's not a dungeon crawler exactly, but it's more of that sort of strategic or kind of exploratory kind of thing that I think was a lot of fun. So I don't want to play though. I guess I'll play this and discard it. So yeah, that was my first video game console.
Neat.
And before we go on with that, I do remember at some point, like when the original Nintendo system first came out, I really wanted it, and I think my parents didn't want it, weren't in a place where they wanted to give it to me or something like that, or like give it to me and my brother, because my brother and I were still living at home at some point, and I think my brother ended up buying it somehow. And he hid it under my bed. Like, this was for Christmas. He hid it under my bed for like a week and a half. Or something like that. It didn't tell me. And I don't ever look underneath my bed, so I didn't know. And so then one day he just kind of pulled it out from beneath my bed. It's just like, okay, we have a Nintendo Entertainment System now.
Neat.
Yeah, it was pretty great. He moved the oxygen down one for me. I'm not going to live. Oh, gosh.
Nah. Cool. My collected question.
Whose turn to Fluxx?
I just played a hand limit of 0. It's Brenda's turn.
As a hand limit? Okay. I just need to make sure I didn't have any cards.
So. What's one quality about yourself that you'd like to see change? Let me read this out. Well, I don't know. I'll take that.
Oof. Did you move the oxygen down?
Yeah. Deal with it, Mendel.
Yeah, I'm not going to live.
Playing Fluxx.
Move the oxygen. My play?
Yeah, it's your playing Fluxx. Ooh, fun.
But I have to discard it.
Right.
Because there's no play in the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, the question again was what?
What is one quality about yourself that you'd like to see change?
It's funny. I'm in the middle of writing a Lent entry about this. I don't know how to rely upon people. Like, I rely upon people indirectly, and I value that reliance a whole lot. But I have a lot of deep-seated trust issues when it comes to myself and certain aspects of my character, and I've also just not even just about emotionally sensitive things, but in general, like I tend to have certain things I want to get done, and a certain kind of standard for how I want to get that done, and not a lot of other people have that standard, and so I end up just doing a lot of it myself. And I don't trust that other people would do that in a way that I would particularly approve of, because it wouldn't be up to my standard. And not that I judge that for their own actions and what they want, but if it's something that's important to me, then there's a way that I want things to be that that can make it difficult for me to rely upon other people for those things. And there's also reliance issues as it relates to if I'm going to trust somebody from sometimes in a more personal.
It's true too.
Sometimes in a more personal kind of way also. So is it play one still?
Yes.
So to me, that's what it is. I think that I need to learn and how to understand to rely upon people more and to relax certain kinds of standards of mine that I want for things that aren't necessarily the most important, and to also be able to rely upon people more for my own personal things and understand how to ask for help. We're going to trash the keeper limit.
Neat.
I get to keep my card for once, right? Like, I can actually keep a card in my hand. Seems like it's been forever since I've been able to do that. Brandon, what's your answer? Pick up the microphone. I'm going to roll 6.
Yeah.
That's a half of 6.
Did that move down for you?
No.
Okay. And I'm gonna move.
Who already made it up? You already made it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did. I rolled a 6 on last go.
Oh, wow. I wasn't even paying attention to that. I made a mistake. I should have been picking up.
You should have been picking up treasure, so I wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
So, what was the question?
What is one quality about yourself that you let you see change? Yeah.
I think I will. You don't have to wait for me. I will pick this up now.
Probably what we're going to change is our concept of out of not burden responsibility on myself necessarily, but also the concept of things that really have no
Don't move.
control, that I have no control over.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I feel some sort of burden about. I do apologize for that a lot, and I need to get better at that. Just accepting things and not.
Wait. That's true. This is
I need a
important
5 or a
because-
6.
because this is the
Because-
last roll,
All right, guys. Here we
and he needs to roll.
A 5.
Oh! Well, okay. So, Deep Sea Adventure's done. Now we count our numbers.
Oh, I had an 8. Wow.
25.
30.
I had 18.
Did you not make it up the second time?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So
I feel like if I hadn't a shot for 4 every time, I probably would have won.
Yeah.
if you had not gone down
The first.
the first time
Yeah.
so deep, but that's partially like we've played this game a couple of times, and something that I've discovered more than anything else is that if Brendan hadn't picked up the treasure Brendan always, in the first 2 rounds, Brendan always initiated the need to go up.
Right.
That's
As
fair.
soon as someone picks up treasure, that at any
necessitates.
point that changes the shape of the game. So
Huh.
if none of us had picked anything up, then yeah, going down to the bottom would have been a lot better. Still a little bit dangerous, but a lot better. But as soon as somebody picks something up, then that really shapes the game
Yeah, that's fair.
for that. So
Conservative play.
yeah, right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, right.
But that'd be for
Absolutely.
anybody. I guess I didn't realize at first that if somebody picks up a treasure, you probably should just go ahead and start heading up. Not,
Yeah.
hey,
For
let me
the
go
most
down.
part, yeah.
Let me go down past the 3s as well.
Because I've tried. There have been times when like I was at the back of the line, and I said I want to just go down one more time. Like this happened in the game that we had with Tori at Rook. Where I said I'm gonna just go down one more time because there's plenty of oxygen left. It shouldn't be a problem. And that one time killed me. I didn't get back with anything because of that.
Wow.
Everybody started going back up, picking stuff as they went up.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, because they were picking stuff up as they went up also, right? That's one of the things about, because Danny is really fond of that technique of going down and picking up one thing and then picking up stuff on the way back up, as
Yeah.
opposed to thinking about, oh, okay, I'm going to try to pick up stuff on the way down, because that gravitates the increased loss of oxygen more towards when you're already towards the exit, as opposed to when you have to make a decision.
Right.
Going back up. So yeah,
Neat.
whose turn is it in Fluxx? I think we're just gonna finish out on Fluxx and finish the questions.
Um.
Who should play the trash can?
Mendel
Me.
did. So it's my turn.
Where are we in questions now?
I haven't answered the quality that I would like to change,
Okay.
and that would be, I can be very prideful of things, particularly with money, and yeah, I'm comfortable with sharing this because I feel like my dad and my stepmom won't be listening to this. So, fairly recently, so I'm going to Costa Rica.
I actually know this story.
My dad and my stepmom, my dad and I met whenever he was here in New Orleans at one point. We just grabbed coffee and he basically asked me, so how much are you looking from us to support you for this trip? And I told them a certain number of money, and he was like, okay, you know, we're okay with that. That's fine. That's like a reasonable amount of money. And that amount of money would have almost essentially covered my, like, that amount of money if he had not reneged on it, as well as the money that I'd already saved from working over the summer for my job at Empire. I would have been set. I would have had my goal met, and I wouldn't have to really worry about fundraising. Of course, I would always still have tried to fundraise so that I would be less of a burden on my parents, because I'm not a huge fan of that anyway.
Right.
I'm going to do draw 4.
So play draw 4.
Yeah, I'm playing draw 4, so I get to draw 2 more.
Yep.
And that's the end of my turn.
But there is a hand limit 3.
I have 3.
Well,
I'm sorry.
No.
You're right, I don't want that.
Draw 4.
Yes, you
Yes,
do draw,
draw
4.
4, play 1, hand limit 3.
Oh, I guess I can keep one of these down. So, 2 weeks later, I traveled up to Minnesota to visit my dad and my stepmom. And at a certain point, Dad took me out to dinner, just me and him, and proceeded to tell me that they were reneging on their commitment of money, and furthermore that they just weren't going to offer anything. And, or at least that is what I gathered. I was too angry at the point where he said that they were reneging on that amount of money. Maybe at some point he did intend to offer a smaller amount of money, but it's not what I gathered. What I gathered from him was, we're reneging on our money commitment you need to be able to support yourself. And I kind of agreed with that to a certain extent. The problem that I had with it was I didn't appreciate him committing to a certain amount of money and then saying, no, that's not going to happen. Because I was really counting on that.
Right.
What is tactfulness?
I don't know. But I
If
have
a player
it.
has taxes showing, you can draw an extra card per turn.
Sweet! I'll draw another one.
Ignore this rule. Oh, never mind. Just kidding. If you had hidden taxes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's showing, so
Okay.
I'm good.
Is it my turn?
It is now. One.
Oh, got it. And I'm gonna say that we play 4. That was my 1. I'm gonna put a draw 5 in place. I'm gonna go security breach.
Play death and taxes. Play death and taxes.
I'm gonna switch to play all because why not? I'm gonna do government cover up. So now that everybody knows what everything is, we're gonna flip them all over again.
No, as if I was paying attention to anything. And now that you know what I have,
Yep. I'm gonna trash our hand limit. Hand limit. So actually, I have to play everything. So, I'm gonna tax. You can choose a card from your hand and give it to me. Yeah.
yes. It's play all, right?
Huh? Yes, it is play all. So I will have to play it. Yeah. I still have to play all these cards. I'm gonna play that one first so I can get rid of it. And I'm gonna play that next so I can get rid of it, and then I'm gonna play this. All you need is love.
Draw 5.
So yeah, I was pretty upset about that, and because of that situation, I ended up being really prideful, which I typically am with money, to the point where I told people for a while that even if my dad offered to cover everything at a certain point between the time that he reneged and the time that I'm leaving, I would say, no, I don't need your money and I don't want your money. I'm going to get it through other means. And it took a lot of convincing from my mom and from my former youth pastor's wife and a few other people to be like, no, that's stupid. If your dad offers you the money, you're going to hate it, but you have to accept it, like deal with it, because he is going to be able to cover, because they do have the financial means of covering
Right.
everything.
Right.
Donuts and coffee. Boom.
Ooh, he wins.
Brendan wins. I was surprised that nobody had love because I didn't really pay attention to it, but
Well, love would be the
oh,
Just straight.
nice.
but it doesn't matter because you'd have to have no other keepers.
Oh, I
all
see.
all you need is love. Is the player who has love on the table wins, and only if that player also has no other keepers.
Got it.
That's why it's all you need is love.
Gotcha.
I was about to do a rule reset, but I wanted to wait until I actually almost gave the rule reset to you.
Oh,
But I decided it was more advantageous for me to draw 5 first to see what I would
right. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
get. But I knew that it was also a danger that would give Brendan a bunch of power. But
And also the gold, money, and taxes. So I was hoping I would get something to get.
yeah, right.
Neat. That was Fluxx and DT Adventure.
Cool.
Yeah. So that to finish up, that is something that I want to work on. I don't want to be as prideful about my money because, one, at some point, I'm gonna have to share my finances with somebody, hopefully with a future wife or whatever. And I want to be open and willing to change my priorities on money based on other people's opinions, and even in situations in which there may be some money that's supposed to come in and that issue gets reneged. I still want to be humble enough to be okay with the idea of, for this instance, if my dad came up to me and said, hey, we see that you only need this amount of money now, and we're okay with giving that to you. I'm really trying to be okay with the idea of accepting that amount of money. The good news is it hasn't happened yet, so I don't have to be less prideful now. It's in the event that he does actually offer it to me. But yeah, it's something I want to work on. I don't want to have a trump card against my own family. I don't want to have a trump card against anybody, really, but the idea that I could hold a trump card against my family, and in the event that they needed something from me at any point, and I could say, well, you didn't do this for me. You reneged on your promises, so, I was okay with, and I ended up being fine, so you guys will be okay with it, kind of thing.
Okay.
I just feel like
that's interesting. Because to me, that's a little bit separate.
It is. It's kind of a pride turning into resentment kind of thing.
Right. And I feel like that's something that I don't think that I would expect you to hold a grudge like that.
I can. Especially when it comes to... So that kind of leads into my priorities of things like honesty and integrity. And I feel that them reneging on that, regardless of how much money it was, unless they didn't have the means to do so.
Right, but what does that have to do with how you then react to something in return? Right, like that. It's true that maybe they wouldn't have the who knows circumstances, blah blah blah. But if they don't have the honesty, if there is lack of honesty or integrity, then a reason to you make it sound like the reason that you wouldn't give them money if they asked for that is specifically because of and we're talking specifically about your family. It's specifically because of a lack of integrity from them asking from this situation, which wasn't about means, but just about them making a decision and reneging on it, right? And so, and to me, that's a little strange. It's not the same thing as, say, them asking you for an amount of money and them repeating that habit and therefore taking advantage of you always saying yes.
Right.
It's more. I guess I don't see the correlation, or I can understand the correlation, but I don't think that I would understand. I didn't expect that correlation would have that meaning to you, that you would create a grudge situation that would prevent you from helping them if they asked for it with honesty. Like if they honestly asked you for money in a way that made it clear that they needed that money, then is that something that you wouldn't give them just because they didn't give you money when they had the means to do it?
Probably not, but I guess I wouldn't think of them needing anything in terms of money. Okay. It would be in terms of something else, like time or whatever. I don't really know the situation, but I could see myself potentially harboring that.
Okay.
So,
okay, that's fair, and I understand why. I did think I just didn't think that was you, that you had that.
I do have it. I don't like it, and I typically don't. I typically am not a very grudgy person, or if I am, I tend to forget it, and it tends to dissipate. But I can, and honestly, I think because I know they're full, because I have trust issues anyway of them, that would be why I would
That's
hold a
fair.
grudge.
Okay. That's fair. Okay.
So,
Cool.
do you want to ask last minute?
Well, we're kind of at like an hour 25 now.
Oh wow.
We've been going for a little while. So
Yeah.
well, I don't want to end on that though. Exactly.
No,
Right?
yeah,
Like we should end on something. So just tell me like the best thing that's happened to you in the past couple of days. We need to end on something positive. What's the
True.
best thing that's happened to you in the past couple of days or the past week or something?
I've had a really good week of hanging out with people that I love and care about deeply. All at once. It was just like so for the crawfish boil, I would say that was the best thing. I had you guys. I had Tori come in. I had my vintage people. I had Corel there. I had a whole bunch of band people. It was good to have 20 of the closest people that I care about, because I had to limit it to 20 because my initial, when I was going through like my friends list of inviting people to the crawfish boil, it was up to about like 60 people, and I was like, well, I'm definitely not going to have the money to afford feeding crawfish to 60 people, which is why I think I kind of asked you at one point about like a cap limit.
Oh, okay. We could have pulled off something. It's just that would have more to do with capacity of how many boils we could do at once, more than the actual money involved. I think, like the practicality of that then means that it would have been better to do it catered as opposed to do our own oil.
True.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
It would have been more expensive. But yeah. Okay.
Right. So getting to do that, and on top of that, being able to do my own crawfish boil, it definitely made me feel more like a native, and I really enjoyed that. I really liked the idea of, I took this recipe from my coworker who is from here, and he has like spent years trying to perfect his own crawfish boil, and I took that and I didn't like it completely, and I tweaked it on my own, but that was great, and that's part of the process for me. And now I know that has become my recipe that I will continue to tweak and grow as I live in New Orleans still, or just anywhere when I decide to do crawfish boils.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
cool.
It's been a good week. It's been a very emotional week, but it's gonna be fun.
That's cool.
Bailing on all you people.
Brandon, what's the best thing that happened to you this past week?
Well, I think I'd say pretty much the same thing. It's a pretty great weekend. Seeing a bunch of people in town who I hadn't seen in a long time. Old friends and band came in to visit. Tori came to town. It was great. It's great having fun as well. Kyle, celebrating his time here and what he's about to do. A lot of great friends, and I always like visiting friends. That's something great about it. It's so great to come and visit and just enjoy.
It's a very visitable place.
So it was just a great weekend with friends.
Cool.
Remember?
Well,
You can't say the same thing. Or maybe you can.
yeah, no, I'm gonna say fuck your friends, Kyle. Like I don't care about you right now.
All right, fine. You don't need to care about my friends, because some of them are your friends.
No, I mean, I'm trying to think. Then I guess of a different answer than that. I guess it is about friends, but it's and about people. Clearly, it's just not. But it was more than that too. It's like the crawfish boil was really only one piece of that equation. Like clearly seeing Tori as being such a meaningful friend of all of us, and to have that connection come back for all of us in that way, particularly for you and
There's zeros in this?
Yeah, there's zeros. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's zeros.
That'd be such a terrible treasure.
Particularly for like there was always a lot of closeness that between me, Kyle, and Tori, and Paul to a lesser degree from that class, and then I know that with Brendan, like if you had been in like the same graduating class as those people in some ways, that you would have been involved in that circle even more than you already are. So being a part of that was really great. It was more than that though too. It's like there was a particular moment when the Greenway Brass Band was because there was a Green Wave Brass Band gig this past weekend too for the Mardi
Right.
Gras, for the Rock and Roll Mardi Gras Marathon
Sunday, right?
on Sunday, and there was a particular point when we were on the bus on the way there, and I looked back and for the everybody had showed up to call time, even though it was super early on a Sunday morning. Everybody for the most part showed up to call time on time. And it was really just the bus that was slightly late for everybody that was just kind of there. And it was early, but everybody was just kind of chilling. But I knew that they were all there because they wanted to be. And I took a look back, and it kind of reminded me, just looking back at the kids ready to do this gig, of despite some of the frustrations that can happen with this job, just how great this job is, and how much the students that I have are awesome, and the people that I have the privilege of teaching have the ability to drive me and push me and to do great things in ways that make me want to do great things for them. And to be able to come to a place, in large part thanks to Mark, but also because of my own doing. Like, I acknowledge that it was my own efforts that also got me here. That to put me in a situation where I could go back to teaching, and teach music and teach what I love and teach to a group of kids that I love. That's something that I always keep in mind every day, even when there are other factors that could potentially mar that at times because of some of the frustrations that can happen with this job and also with life. So that's what I got. Cool. Well, that's after an hour and a half of stuff. That was Deep Sea Adventure and Fluxx and Brendan. Thanks for coming in and
Guest starring.
speaking your piece for this sort of business. And next week we got to figure out exactly. I actually
We've got some stuff.
we've got some stuff. It's just a matter of mechanics. But once we figure out the mechanics, then
Yeah,
I think it'll end up being okay.
It'll be fine.
So yeah. So
Be prepared for something new.
yeah. If you're not like Brendan, have actually followed us,
Yeah, Brendan.
and can actually made it this far, thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week with Kyle in a different country. And
No, I'll be in just a different state next week.
Kyle will just be in a different state next week. So I guess he's only kind of far away. And we'll see you again next week. Thanks for being a part of our deal. Bye.
Bye. Hit the red button.